Rachel Donaldson was born on June 5, 1767, in what would become the state of Virginia. She moved to Tennessee with her parents when she was 12. When she was 17, she married Lewis Robards from Kentucky. Robards was from a prominent Mercer County family and had been a captain during the Revolutionary War. He was at the burning of Richmond and the skirmish near the James River. The official story is Robards' unreasonable jealousy drove Rachel away from him, and in 1790 they separated. The Robards family presented a different story in the History and Genealogy of the Robards family, published in 1910, but it contains several errors. The book claims that Robards was the victim of serious wrongs, but it was hushed up because of Jackson's presidential campaign. But here's what we do know. Rachel went back to Tennessee to help her widowed mother run her boarding house, and Andrew Jackson was a lodger at said boarding house. And here's where it gets muddy. A friendship, purely platonic, grew between Jackson and Rachel. Some sources say Robards moved to Tennessee to try and reconcile with Rachel. Others say the couple went back to Kentucky. Anthony Foster claims Robards moved to Tennessee and reconciled with Rachel. Disagreeable relations came between him and Jackson. Another source says Rachel returned to Kentucky, and the Donaldsons sent Jackson to pick her up and bring her home. To make things a little murkier, either Jackson or Rachel heard that Robards had filed for divorce in 1790. Jackson married Rachel in 1791, assuming the divorce was final, except it wasn't. Jackson and Rachel married in 1791. There is some question among historians as to whether Robards filed for divorce or whether he had only filed for permission to divorce. Either way, Jackson and Rachel's marriage was not valid, and Robards filed for divorce on the grounds of adultery. Once the divorce was final, Jackson and Rachel remarried in January of 1794. Interestingly, Anthony Foster's webpage, which is pro-Robards, claims the United States Supreme Court made the posthumous decision that the Jacksons were never married. I found no such opinion after searching the Supreme Court's website. WNPT.org, Tennessee's public television station's website, offers an in-depth look at the divorce laws at the time this took place. After 1794, Rachel withdrew from public life, so much so that they named their Tennessee home the Hermitage. The pair had no children, and Rachel believed it was God's punishment for leaving Robards. When she met Reverend Gideon Blackburn, she retreated even further, and Jackson had a small chapel built for her. Whispers of adultery and bigamy followed the couples. The attacks on Jackson during his presidential campaign of 1828 were especially nasty. His opponents accused him of murder, gambling, slave trading, and treason. They called his mother a prostitute and his father a mulatto. They saved the ultimate nastiness for Rachel. When word spread about her first marriage and the story about her marriage to Jackson, they called her a bigamist and an adulteress. They then called Jackson a man of questionable character. In 1828, Rachel's health declined. Doctors suspected heart disease. Her depression grew over the years, and she dreaded the possibility of Jackson winning the election. When he did, Rachel relented and said she would go to D.C. to please her husband. She was going to take 2 nieces with her to handle social obligations, while she herself would remain sequestered. Rachel learned from a Nashville newspaper, on gossip, that people were saying she was unfit for the White House and that she would shame the presidency. She became hysterical and friends took her home. A few days later, she had a major heart attack and died. Rachel's funeral on December 24th was legendary. Businesses throughout Tennessee closed, church bells rang for over an hour, and 10,000 people came to pay their respects at the Hermitage. As for Jackson, he never forgave those he believed were responsible for her death.